well, you can call it a performance-related exercise, but the fact of the matter is that whether it's companies like Cognizant or companies like Tech Mahindra or, in fact, Infosys, they are letting people go. R. Chandrashekhar, the president of the IT industry body NASSCOM, joins us now for more on this. Mr. Chandrashekhar, thanks very much. IT companies are looking at amping up their hiring in the US. Infosys is looking to hire about 10,000 employees. Cognizant, we understand, may hire about 8,000 employees in the US this year. But in India, we're actually seeing companies say that for performance-related issues, they are having to cut their employee base. Is there a shift in or a restructuring or a reorganization in the way that IT companies are now stacking their workforce?
So I think that there are a number of changes which are taking place in the IT industry, which have in fact been taking place over the last few years. This is driven by several factors. First and foremost, the advent of the digital age, where the client companies are, transforming themselves into digital organizations, has changed the nature of requirements. They are looking for the providers of these services to actually deliver outcomes and not just technology. And therefore, that in turn means that there are changes in the kind of resources required, in the kind of technical skills that are required. All of this translates into a higher need for people locally in areas like the domain capability, in areas like the consulting skills, and certain kinds of skills which are, available locally. Now, this is something which has changed the mix of people who are on-site, the mix of work which is done on-site and off-site, and all of these are getting reflected in the way companies are handling the human resource requirements. Secondly, as far as hiring the U.S. is concerned, this has always been the case, that there is some hiring in the U.S. and there is supplementation of hiring in the U.S. with people going on visas from India, because the root cause has been the skill shortage in the U.S., which is still the case. And it's not as if any of the measures which have taken place have changed the fundamental driver. So that situation continues, but we have in fact seen that there is a misperception that this industry actually takes away jobs from the US or takes away jobs from US workers, notwithstanding the fact that it is a huge creator of jobs in the US, that it was hiring people in the US even earlier. So what is now happening is that companies are highlighting the fact that yes, they are hiring in the US and even putting some numbers behind it so that people know the magnitude of the job creation that is taking place.
Oh yes, they are putting those numbers behind it. The American hiring being ramped up across the board by Indian IT companies to skirt the visa blues. But last time we spoke, Mr. Chandrashekhar, you had just come away from your meeting with the Trump administration. Do you have any further clarity on whether immigration norms are going to be tightened any further? On the whether or not the US administration is at all open to considering the demands of Indian IT companies?
I think what we have clearly on the table at this point, and what we know officially, is the executive order which has been issued, which, as we have said in the past, does not actually make any changes as such, but only initiates a 3-month study of the current system, and with a view to identifying shortcomings and what can be done to improve it. At the same time, it also points towards a more stringent scrutiny of applications, as well as a more stringent oversight of the usage of visas for people who have actually come into the US on the visas. All of these don't necessarily make a big change in terms of the actual numbers at this point. But we also see that there are a number of legislations which are at a draft stage or at different stages in the legislative process. So substantive changes in terms of the number of visas that are being issued in each year or various attendant conditions for the issue of those visas are all the subject matter and the province of legislative action in the U.S. That's the way the U.S. system works. So those changes, if any, will come about at that time. So the short point is that actual changes at this point are not there, but there are indications of a tightening of the both issue and oversight, as well as possible legislative measures which which could result in some changes. The precise nature of these changes is not clear, but the general perception and the mood appears to be moving towards a more restrictive approach. But
okay, you're saying the general perception is that we will be moving towards a much more restrictive visa regime. That is the indication that you are getting from the U.S. administration. Mr. Chandrashekhar, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Let's move now to the